So good morning, everybody. Welcome to another session of an STC webinar on apprentices. Today should be very interesting. I'm certainly looking forward to it because I think there's a lot of really useful and powerful information here. As you know, these webinars are part of a series that we're doing. So by all means, please go to our YouTube channel and look at all the previous ones that we've done. Please also visit the STC website on our events page to have a look at all the ones that are forthcoming, because we have a lot of interesting subjects coming up. The next one, which I think is next week, is all to do with wellness, both at work and at home. So both for you as a person, but also for you as a business leader, for your team. So please join us from that. Should be a very powerful session there as well. So it should be very interesting. One of the things that I'd like to mention as well is that, as you might have heard, Silverstone Technology Cluster have partnered up with Be the Business to deliver business growth programs throughout the year and throughout the region. So we've recently launched SME advisory boards, which is a very powerful program to allow SMEs to get sort of guidance and advice from advisory boards. We're also about to launch with them a mentoring program, which is mentoring for growth. So if you want a more personal relationship with an experienced business leader to guide you through some of your challenges and some of your ambitions that you have with your business, then please engage with us on that, and do please get in touch if you're interested. I'm also very pleased to announce that STC has been approved as a Kickstart Gateway, which is a government program to encourage job placements for young people. And that means that there's fully funded apprenticeship places available. So if you're interested in that, please get in touch with us and we can see what we can do to try and help you. But that's about it for me. Just wanted to sort of highlight one or two things that's happening for us. But I'd now like to hand over to Caroline, who will kick us off and explain all about apprentices. Caroline, over to you.
And thank you, Pim. I'm here with my colleague Julie-Ann, and we're just going to run through apprenticeships for you. Just as we start, Julie-Ann, if you could move to the first slide for me, please. And I'll just position Milton Keynes College as to why we're here, why we're talking to you about apprenticeships. Milton Keynes College, for those of you who live in around Milton Keynes, you'll recognise the college. We've got two campuses across the city, if it is a city, there's a question mark there. In addition to that, we also deliver learning into the prison service. We are also the home of the South Central Institute of Technology. Some of you may have heard of that, some of you won't. You'll hear an awful lot more about that in the coming months. It's a learning institute for sort of higher level qualifications and all around the digital world. And as you'll know, Milton Keynes College is almost the centre of the UK in terms of AI and automation and all that side of things. And the South Central Institute of Technology is there to serve that. We're predominantly an FE college, further education college, with 16+ delivery. But increasingly, we are becoming sort of the hub of Milton Keynes in terms of developing new talent. And Pim just mentioned the fact that you're now part of the Kickstart. We are part of the piece before Kickstart, which is developing new talent in young people. So they come to you with some of those work skills that they need. It's called MK New Futures. And if you want some more information on that, we can cover that later. And at the bottom of that slide, you'll see that we have, in non-COVID times, when we are all allowed out, we have a brasserie restaurant, which is run by our students and our apprentices, and they do excellent food. And we have AA recognition for that. And then we have the hair and beauty and the barbering. And we have a nursery, and also we're looking after Sports Central, which is in the centre of Milton Keynes. Julie-Ann, would you pass on, please? Just waiting for the new slide to come up. Okay. The reason for you all here, what is an apprentice? Now, an apprenticeship is a job with training. It is aimed at 16+, but all of us on this call here, we could all be apprentices. There is no upper age limit. And the great thing about though is that you could either bring new talent into your business of any age, or you can develop your existing team members. So if you've found that they've got an attribute to something and you've got a skills gap, consider them being an apprentice. Okay? Apprenticeships have been created by employers for employers, and we are a provider of the learning. So basically, we have to deliver what's been decided by employers, which is absolutely great. We work really closely with employers to make sure that our delivery supports your business and what you're looking for. Another great thing about apprenticeships is that they are assessed independently. So in the past, apprenticeships sort of were marked by us. So we'd deliver the apprenticeship training, and then we would come along at the end of the apprenticeship and say, oh yes, of course we've delivered something that's amazing. And for us, yeah, and for other providers, that simply wasn't the case. So now the government have insisted that an independent person says whether or not the apprentice is worthy of being called a completed apprentice. Okay, and that's really, think A-levels and GCSEs, when those students do their exams, it's an external body. This is exactly the same, and that's like a quality stamp. You can do an apprenticeship in absolutely anything, trust me, absolutely anything, bookbinding, the whole thing. At Milton Keynes College, we focus, as you'll see, on those key areas. And as a provider, we are predominantly looking at the levels 2, which is equivalent to GCSEs, the level 3s, which is A-levels, and some 4 and 5s. The level 6s and 7s, Mary will be talking to you a little bit later from the OU, and that's very much her domain in the area that the Open University work in. And we have a great partnership going with the Open University, and an awful lot of our completing students progress through into Open University degrees. Julie-Ann, pass to the next slide, please. Now, you'll be all sitting here, you'll all have your own idea as to why you want to be on this call for an apprenticeship. But just to bring some of that to life, we teach apprentices in cohorts. So they're in groups of about 12 to sort of 15 to 20. And the great thing about them being taught in that class group is that ideas can come through from that. You can they can get an idea from something else that another company is doing, and they can bring it to your business. The apprentices themselves will have their own ideas. Particularly if you're looking at that new young talent, they don't have any of those preconceptions that we all carry with us. So they won't go to, that won't work because they don't know it won't work. They're just like, yeah, I'll try it, I'll have a go, I'll see. And then they bring different ideas and different ways of thinking to your business, which is really, really healthy. Not all of their ideas will be amazing, but you just don't know. Growing your own talent. A lot of you will have taken on people who come with ideas and ethoses that don't match your businesses. And then you have to almost retrain them and take away all their bad habits to give them all of the good habits that you have. With an apprentice, you are developing your own people. You are taking them from a green shoot into a more finished article at the end of it. The low recruitment costs. At Milton Keynes College, we work really closely with you to recruit the right people for your business, and we don't charge you for that cost. However, you'll all know if you get recruitment wrong, it's jolly expensive. Not only are you paying agency fees, but also in terms of the morale of your staff, their HR costs, and rectifying a mistake. So we work on the principle, get the right person at the very beginning, and you'll just receive the real benefits from doing that. I put in there the improved staff retention. Interestingly, I've worked with some companies where they were reluctant to look at apprentices to begin with. But when the apprentice had joined, it changed the dynamic of the organisation. All of a sudden, they really want, those people who'd been there for a long time, wanted to share and wanted to nurture the young person or the apprentice that had been brought in. And actually, some of the silos that exist in most businesses were actually broken down because the apprentice didn't see the silos. They just saw that they needed to speak to Joe or Tom or Sophie or Louise or whatever, and didn't understand that that wasn't how it worked in the past. So actually by bringing on that young person, that new person, those boundaries, those silos have been broken down. I don't know how many of you out there are struggling to find the right talent. I know, particularly in engineering, there's a huge skills gap. For whatever reason, people have not invested in bringing on people in the past. That might have been 2009 with the economic downturn then. COVID will have an impact. But actually, what you don't do back then, you reap the benefits, or they don't reap the benefits of now. So if you didn't invest in people 10 years ago, you don't have people now who are going to be taking over from those who are due to retire shortly. So think now, take on an apprentice now, and long term, you will reap the benefits. Again, increased productivity. I'd be fibbing to you if I said, yeah, apprentice starts day one and you get the productivity benefits straight away. No, in reality, 3 to 6 months. So there is this lag, there is this time. But actually, once they are on board, they are part of your team, they will really, really add to what you're doing. I've got here also opportunity for the existing staff to develop. In your business, you will have seen somebody who's got that spark about them, that you think, oh, actually, so-and-so could be the next whoever. Using an apprenticeship, you can do that. And it could give them the skills, and then it will give them the skills and the knowledge to be able to step up a level, step into somebody else's shoes who potentially is, again, being promoted themselves or potentially retiring. Julie-Ann, do you want to go on to the next slide, please? Right, I'm going to put myself on mute now and hand across to Julie-Ann.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie-Ann. I work as an engagement manager for Milton Keynes College alongside Caroline, and I specialise in the digital apprenticeships that we offer. And to bring apprenticeships to life today, we wanted to bring in one of the employers that were in particular one of the employees in your local area, so the Silverstone area, and show exactly what it's like for an employer and their experience, share their experience with you. So can I welcome Peter and Thomas from Talk Motorsport onto the call here. And firstly, Peter, would you mind just giving us a little bit background on your company itself, please?
Well, I'm going to let Tom do that bit, if you don't mind, please, Julie, and then I'll focus on the...
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks, Julie. Yeah, so I started Talk for the beginning of 2010, really, because I wanted to work in motorsport my entire life and thought, right, we'll take the plunge and give it a go. And so we started then, and the company's grown ever since, which is happy to say. We specialise purely in the motorsport arena, providing marketing services to race teams, drivers, championships and sponsors and anyone else. We specialise on motorsport. That is our area of expertise. But we provide PR and race reports, social media, livery designs for race cars, graphic designs for brochures and sponsorship proposals. We do TV production for various championships and branded videos for our clients. And we also do websites, and that sort of brought us on to how we got involved with you guys, because we're based in Silverstone, as you say, in Silverstone Village, which is a wonderful place to be for motorsport. But when you sort of think about it, it's fundamentally the middle of nowhere. There's not really a whole lot going on outside of motorsport, and that presented a little bit of an issue for us, because we knew that Pete and I had talked long about this, of how we grow the business and which areas we move into. And the website side of things and the digital services side of things was an area that we saw great potential in, and we had a number of ideas that we wanted to develop. So that was the logical step to take. So we then sort of went the usual recruitment routes of putting an ad on Indeed and things like that, and we really didn't get anything that was worth looking at. We got some people that applied. You think, well, I'm not sure why you bothered, and it was, I think, a little bit that we were looking at a job spec and a job opportunity that is very popular at the moment. Everyone's hiring coders and sort of moving into the digital space with both feet. And as I say, part of it was kind of location, because as I say, we are, it's a lovely area, but outside of motorsport, there's not a huge hub of industry around our immediate location. It's not like recruiting in London or anywhere else. So it presented a few challenges, and we were frankly a bit deflated by the responses we got to the ads for what we thought was a really exciting proposition, not only for us in developing the company and moving forward and providing new and interesting services for our clients, but also a really great opportunity for someone to come on board and join a small company and sort of make this role their own, and develop with us. So we sort of
that's really helpful. Thank you, Tom, for taking us into that sort of scenario. Can you, because we're talking back in June 2019, can you talk around how you decided to move forward with the apprenticeship side? Why did you decide on that as being the best route? Was it down to the fact that to that recruitment shortage initially?
That's what I was just going to hand over to Pete, because he sort of suggested that we should perhaps consider this route. So over to you, sir.
Yeah. Well, I suppose full disclosure first for everyone on the call. I did a mechanical engineering apprenticeship when I was 16. Worked with the same company for 30 years. Ended up in 2004 having worked through the business, doing a management buyout. Took 32 people over on under 2p into the new company, formed the new business, and looked around the table at the board meetings, and there were a number of ex-apprentices who were leading that company. They're still with the company. I sold the business in 2011. So having left school at 16 with 2 O-levels, having gone through Milton Keynes College at Wolverton for 5 years and getting an HNC, having been given the right support during that apprenticeship so that I could grow myself as an individual and be given the opportunities that, as it turned out, I was capable of exploiting. I've been a big advocate of apprenticeships ever since. We started our own apprenticeship scheme after our MBO, and then now doing business support with Tom, helping him to grow the business, trying to provide some strategic direction to the business. One of the things that I was really keen on, having done the traditional route, was to say, come on, we've got to grow our own here. Touching on what some of the things that Caroline mentioned earlier, it was incredibly important for me to see that we stop relying on other people to produce the talent for the business, and we go about growing our own. And that led, having made that decision, to looking for a provider who could find potential candidates for us, who could look after those candidates and take them through the college side of things, knowing that they were getting proper training, and also give us as a business some support. We're a very small business. Give us some support when we need it, to make sure that we're doing the right things for the apprentice that we've currently got with us.
Thanks, Peter. So you took on Harry as your apprentice, and you took him on as a software developer apprentice at level 4. So that's a higher level equivalent to the first year at university. So what's a typical task that you put him on sort of day to day? Is he helping with the business? Because I know he made an impact straight away as soon as he came into the business.
Yeah, I suppose I'll pass over to Tom in a sec, but just a couple of things to add, before we get into what he's doing day to day. We were very fortunate in the recruitment process that the people that were brought to us by the college, we had 3 candidates we looked at, and all 3 could do the job. On top of that, we were even more fortunate in that one of the individuals was a little bit older. And for us as a very small company, that helped a little bit more maturity, a little bit more experience. And so he really hit the ground running, doing some of the tasks that Tom has got him doing on a day-to-day basis. Tom, do you want to run through some of that stuff?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Pete. So yeah, Harry works on creating client-facing websites for all of our clients. So we're developing all of those. So that was where he really was able to make an impact straight away, not only in terms of delivering products and services to our clients, which was great, so we can get invoice for it, but also in taking a burden off me, because that until that point it was a job that I was doing as well. So it allowed me to free up some of my time to work with Harry and really be able to drill down a little bit more on providing exactly what the client needs. So there was an immediate impact there, as you say, in terms of being able to deliver services and products to our clients, which was brilliant. But the other thing that he does, we sort of split his time, is developing our own internal products and services, because we've identified a number of areas that we can provide a bespoke product or a unique product for talk to our customers. And so that's something that we've been developing sort of in unison with the client-facing work that he's been doing as well. So it's been brilliant to have him on board and to have him as part of the journey. And I think, as Pete was saying, we're bringing Harry on board. He's 25, 26, so he had a little bit of life experience about him and had some work experience and had studied at university in a completely different field. So from our point of view, it was great that he could bring different perspectives to the business. He's not actually a motorsport founder, or at least he wasn't before he started here. So he was able to bring a bit of a different perspective again, because he's not someone who's died in the world of loving motorsport. So all those elements helped swing it in his favour. As Pete said, we had 3 very strong candidates for the role. Harry worked well for us in terms of where we are as a company and where the direction we were going in, so it fitted nicely.
Thank you. And Harry comes into the college, or did come in, because he's nearly finishing his apprenticeship. So he was what's on as day release training. So he came in to the college 1 day a week to do his software development training and learning at the college. And then he spent the other 4 days of the week with yourselves in your office, getting the knowledge and skills from yourselves. How did it work from a mentoring perspective? Did the 2 of you combine that mentoring job?
Yeah, that's it. Let's go on, Tom. You carry on.
I sort of looked after him from the day-to-day point of view of being here and working on elements, and we had obviously representatives from the college to come in a couple of times whilst people could still visit offices to sit down with Harry and I and run through where he was from a college point of view and the things that he was developing and working on, so we could make sure that. And Pete and I both made a point of this, but when we started saying, you know, your education here is as important as the role you're doing for us here at Talk. So you need to tell us where you are in your journey of your education and what's going on, and we can do our best to align projects that we've got in the pipeline with where you are in your process of your education. So you've got practical projects that you could be working on at the relevant time. So that's, I think, worked out quite well, and Harry's been able to bring some perspectives the other way as well, and sort of going, well, we've been working on this at college, and this could be really interesting for X project. So I've sort of dealt with it from that side of things, but given Pete's experience as an apprentice, he's been able to add his 2 pence as well from a different point of view.
I think it's worthwhile adding to that as well that one of the things that we were very nervy about when we started this process, being such a small company, and we're looking at new technologies that we weren't necessarily involved in the business at that time. How do we mentor someone? You know, who's the person that knows what they're talking about here? And so we had that conversation, obviously with yourselves, Julie-Ann, and colleagues, to say that we're going to need some help here. You know, we cannot leave this guy completely rudderless in terms of new technologies, because we're going to ask him to do things that's never been done before in this arena, potentially using existing technologies in other sectors, but potentially not even that. And therefore, we're going to need some technical support and someone he can go to that he can get that support. And obviously that's what we had a good conversation about that, and you were able to provide us with that additional support as well.
And finally, just to sum up, what would you say to people that are on this call today in terms of going forward and bringing on an apprentice?
Well, from my side, I guess I'd say don't be too scared about the process. If you work with a good provider, and they're not all good, so think carefully about who you get involved with. I mean, we've been very fortunate with MK College, but don't be too scared about it, and don't think that it's a commitment that's too big for yourselves. I think it's incredibly important that we as a business community invest in the next level, in the next generation. If we don't, who's going to do it? So we've got to get off our backsides and invest in these kids, in these people, because they will be the ones who deliver for us in the future. So I'd say go for it.
I think you've said it all, Pete. I don't think there's any more I need to add.
Yeah. Thank you, both of you. Really, really helpful. And if anyone's got any questions for Tom and Pete afterwards, when we get to Q&A, we can pick up on them then. Let's just flick back to the financial bit of apprenticeships, which Caroline's going to bring on. Slides coming up.
That's it, Julianne. Lovely. Thank you very much, Tom and Peter. Really, yeah, I'm really pleased you've had a really good experience and how he's doing as well. Okay, the finance bit. You can see what it says in there. Very simply, if you have fewer than 50 employees and your apprentice is under the age of 19, you will not have to contribute towards the training cost. Okay, some of the apprenticeships can cost up to £26,000, but actually you would get all of that training free. If you happen to have, if you happen to have fewer than 50 employees and your apprentice is over the age of 19, then all we would be doing is asking you for a 5% contribution. So that's an extremely cheap way of getting some really good quality training. And the next band is if you have more than 50 employees, but your payroll is less than 3 million, we will be asking you again for a 5% contribution. And then the final column is if you have more than 50 and your payroll is greater than 3 million, you will be into the group who have an apprenticeship levy fund. Apprenticeship levy funds can be spent on apprenticeship training. Again, if you are in the position where you have a levy fund and you want to know a little bit more about how you manage that, then please let us know, ask us a question. We're more than happy to help you. Okay. You might be asking yourself, who pays the other 95% if you're having to do a 5% contribution? The government. The government see apprentices as being so very important in upskilling everybody and providing opportunity for everybody that they're committing to pay that larger percentage. You might be thinking, well, why do I have to pay at all? Well, actually, in some cases, it's good that you do, because you're having to make that commitment. You're not only making that commitment in person, but you're actually making a financial commitment. But there are some grants out there, which Julianne's going to mention just in a minute. In terms of salary, there is a minimum wage for an apprentice. But just be mindful, certainly in our area, Milton Keynes, Silverstone, Northampton, across, if you are just going to pay the minimum salary to an apprentice, which I think works out on average about £8,500 a year, I would question the value you're putting to that apprentice, because that's their salary. the majority of apprentices in our area are earning £11,000 plus. They tend to sort of top out at £20,000 a year, and it really will depend on the work they're doing. And I completely understand that all businesses are in a different place because of COVID. But it's an investment you're making. So when you're thinking about salary, again, it is an investment, and you want that person to be with you in the long term. Julie-Ann's put up the slide about bonuses, so I'll pass across to her so she can explain the bonuses.
So Caroline touched on incentives, and she also touched on COVID. Now, it's actually been extended, but government put in a COVID-related incentive for employers to bring on a new apprentice. Now, it's been extended from 31st of January up until the end of March at the moment, March the 31st. So if you were to hire a new apprentice, up until the 31st of March, there are two potential incentive payments depending on the age that you could benefit from. So the £2,000 if you bring on an apprentice that's 16 to 24 years. And if the apprentice is over 25, then you will benefit from a grant of £1,500. This potentially might be extended after March, but we're waiting on that. There is an existing bonus of £1,000 payable for anyone that brings on an apprentice aged 16 to 18. So that's for somebody that's before their 19th birthday. And that's really to recognise the commitment and a little bit more work that might go in from an employer perspective of bringing in somebody that's in that younger age bracket. Right, let me just flick on back to Caroline.
Okay, getting the most out of an apprentice, as Tom and Peter said really well, you have to find the mentor. Having a mentor is absolutely key. And the mentor doesn't have to be an expert in the field the apprentice is in. They're there to be a support for the apprentice. We have workplace trainers who come out on a regular basis, either virtually at the moment or in person in the future, and they work with you as a company to make sure the apprentice is learning in the right way and doing all the things that are required of the apprenticeship and your business. So again, that mentor doesn't have to be a manager. They don't have to be somebody in that particular team. It could be somebody not in that team. It could actually be an opportunity for you to develop some of your existing team members and see if they have got the potential to manage people. By giving them the role of mentor, you're sort of putting them on that first step and see if they can support somebody new into the business, if they have got those inherent skills. An apprentice needs to be doing. We talk an awful lot about them, their competence, their knowledge and their behaviours. So they need to be working and doing and having real life activities to do. Otherwise they won't be able to evidence that they're actually doing their learning and it's embedded knowledge. Protected time for learning. In my world, in Julie-Ann's world, we speak an awful lot about the 20% learning requirement that's required every single week. So if you think your apprentice is with you for 40 hours a week, 20% of that time, they have to be evidencing that they're getting new learning, new behaviours and new skills. Now, in the first 3 months of anybody joining your company, there's huge amounts of all of those things. And we will work with you really closely so that we capture all of that information and we continue to do so for the whole duration of the apprenticeship. It is a government requirement that apprentices have 20% for this new learning, behaviours and understanding. And we will help you see what that looks like and work with you to do it. And basically, if an apprentice can't achieve the 20%, then the government question if it is an apprenticeship and what we, as the provider, are doing to support. As I said to you, we have workplace trainers. They are industry, they've worked in industry. They know what it is that you are doing. They've worked in either the digital world, the engineering world, the hair, the catering world, business world. So you can have a conversation with them and they will understand the language you use and what you are looking to achieve. And that's really important to the college, is that we can put in front of you people who are credible. And we have regular reviews. In addition to those regular reviews, we will be in constant contact with you. We never want any of our employers to save things. We want to be having a constant dialogue with you. Apprenticeships allow for personalisation. And that, again, is a key point in the success of an apprenticeship. If you're working with a provider who's telling you what you should be doing, I think they've missed the point. The point is, it's a collaborative conversation, and we should be constantly talking and exploring and working together to make sure that what you're offering is in the essence of what's required of the apprenticeship, but where both parties are taking every opportunity to develop the apprentice so they have the very best experience and exposure to the industry that you're in. And that comes on to the bottom one, which is new opportunities, trade shows, networking events. It could be absolutely anything really, and talk to us and we will say, yes, that fits perfectly, or actually not quite, but still a really great opportunity for the apprentice to learn. And I think that bit at the bottom is right. You take on a person to be an apprentice, it's actually the journey they're on, and at the end of it, they will be as close to the finished article as it is possible to be, but there's still more for them to learn. None of us ever stop learning, but it is a journey. A lot of the apprenticeships we offer are level 2, level 3, and level 4. And that's where they're going to get to at the end of it. A lot of the level 3 and level 4 apprenticeships are over sort of a number of years, 18 months to 3-4 years. So it is that learning journey. I'm going to hand over to Julie-Ann now. She's going to explain how we get started.
So if you are interested in moving forward with an apprentice, give Caroline or I a call at MK College. Our details being shared on this presentation. The first steps are really to look at your job descriptions. So if you want to share with us your job descriptions, we can point you in the right direction and with which government standard the job refers to. And we can provide you with a full free recruitment service. And some of the smaller companies I know, like Pete and Tom, that was invaluable in taking that pressure off from a recruitment side. We will sift apprentice candidates for you. We will check their GCSE certificates, and we will send over information so you can make a decision on who you want and your interview process as well. And that's really important. Finally, let me just share with you our web address and our LinkedIn details, just there on the screen if you want to take a photo. We can come back to question and answers in a minute. And then really what we'd like to do now is to share with you some more experience on high level apprenticeships by passing over to Mary from the Open University.
Thanks, Julie-Ann. Let me just share my screen. I can bring these up. Is it sharing this? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Mary. You can see it now.
Thank you for taking time to attend today. So my name's Mary Fox. So I am a sector lead for enterprise at the Open University within the business development unit. So we manage business B2B relationships for all providers, for all employers within the manufacturing, automotive, pharmaceutical, engineering and construction, transport, logistics, telecommunications, media and technology. So that comes through via our team. So just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of the Open University. So we were established in 1969, and since then we've had over 2 million students study with ourselves. We currently have just nearly 175,000 students studying currently, and 69% of these students are over the age of 25. We currently work with 550 employers for apprenticeships, and also 88% of the FTSE 100. We currently have 2,000 apprentices on programme at the moment since 2016, with a retention rate of 95%. We also deliver overseas, and we have 7,430 students currently within 141 countries. So why would you choose the OU? So we're experienced in delivering leadership and management qualifications. We're flexible. We have the blended learning approach. We are also top 100% of the Business School Global Triple Accreditation. We have obviously the 95% apprenticeship retention rate and 98% employer satisfaction from the ESFA as of 2018. Just to give you a rough idea of some of the employers we're currently working with that there for you. And also just to go through some of the programs that may interest you today. So we do provide also a lot of qualifications to the NHS, like your nursing. We also provide the police constable apprenticeship to a lot of the policing organisations there. Just to give you this program, so we have a digital technology solutions degree apprenticeship program. This is a level 6 program. So it's typically around a 4-year apprenticeship. They will gain a BSc Honours in Digital and Technology Solutions. This also has an integrated endpoint assessment, which will be carried out by the Open University. And this will also be accredited by the Tech Partnership. The specialisms we have on this programme is cybersecurity, data analyst, software engineer, and network engineer. How we've delivered the programme is that in year 1 and 2, you will cover all 4 chosen specialisms. So it gives you a bit of that foundation knowledge there for them, especially on new apprentices, whether these are new to the organisation or incumbent staff that you're looking to upskill or reskill. With that in mind, in year 3 and 4, they will go on to their chosen specialism. So we do have flexibility here that if they do want to change and their job role changes within that first 2 years, and say they originally chose a network engineer, but they've gone down the cybersecurity route, we have got that flexibility to change the pathway for them. Okay. The next programme is another degree apprenticeship, so level 6. This is the Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship. So this is average around 3 to 4 year work-based programme. Now, this is dependent on when they start. So we have 3 intakes for this one a year, currently February, May and October. May registrations are currently open on this programme. So they will come out with a BA Honours degree in management practice. Again, like all apprenticeships, there is that requirement of the English and maths functional skills. If they don't have these, we will put them through the functional skills, but we aim to get this out the way in the first year, so it gives them time to concentrate in their years 2 and 3 of the apprenticeship. And they'll also go through an endpoint assessment. Now, this is down to an employee who they want to choose. So this could be ILM or CMI. This is entirely down to the employer for the programme. Our next programme is our level 7 senior leader programme. Some of you may be aware of this. This has currently just gone through a funding band program and a programme change. So this is a 2-year work-based learning programme. Originally, the old programme had the MBA attached to it as the end qualification. Unfortunately, this has now been removed, and the funding band has been lowered from 18,000 down to 14,000. This will also include the residential skills and some peer-to-peer networking opportunities as well. The new qualification will be a diploma in leadership and management. They'll also get the opportunity to qualify for membership or fellowship with CMI or ILM. Again, the maths and English is a key point here. If they don't have that, it could be someone that has worked their way up the business, had got a degree or in another subject, but now want that management experience. So, but never had the maths or English, so we can put them through that again in the first year. And they'll also have the endpoint assessment. Again, this could be with ILM or CMI. With this programme, this is also launching twice a year. This is for May and November. We're launching the new programme this May. The deadlines for Chartered Manager and Senior Leader Wood for learner details is the 4th of March this year. Let's go down. So just to provide you a bit of an overview on support, what we provide the apprenticeships with. So they will not only have academic tutors for their academic modules, these are all as well currently within industry. So everything you'll learn is current and up to date, and that's really good because they can provide real life examples of current situations as well. Alongside these, they'll have a practice tutor. Now this practice tutor will be with a learner from start to finish. They will get them ready for endpoint assessment. We will also not put them forward for this until they are ready. And we work with you as well as the employer for that to make sure you're happy that they are ready to go forward for the endpoint assessment. Again, the practice tutors as well are all currently within industry. These will come out and visit you in the workplace 3 to 4 times a year. Currently at the moment, it is virtually, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get back to face soon. You will also, alongside me or one of my colleagues as an account manager, you'll have an apprenticeship program delivery manager assigned to you as the employer. These will provide you with quarterly reports on the progress, how the student is doing. If there is any issues that raised to us a little bit earlier, it's kind of the best way for me to say it is on our student home, it's kind of like Big Brother. We know when they're logging in, when they last logged in, and how long they're logging in for and spending on an activity. So we're able to pinpoint if there's any areas of concern earlier on. So we pick these up with you as the employer and with the apprentice to make sure that we don't set them up to fail, we can get them to succeed. Again, you'll also, if there is that need for functional skills, you'll have that support team there for yourself as the employer and also the apprentice. 2 areas that I always find that is really key to a success of an apprentice is their line manager and their mentor. Now, some people, the line managers and mentors are the same person, but sometimes I always find it's nice to have a mentor separated, someone else they can go to, someone that's probably worked in the business for a long period of time, as well as the apprenticeship lead. It's giving them that confidence that they've got someone else to kind of go and talk to if they've got any concerns, life concerns, or like you say, life happens and they don't know what to do. We would like to make sure they've got that support network as well as the APDM as the apprenticeship program delivery manager. We do make sure that they've got that support network of the community of learning, so their cohorts they're in with. We also have online CAFs with past and present students, and that peer-to-peer support is a huge thing to area of success for an apprentice. And the student support team, this will also be there if they've got any technology issues, TMA issues. They're there to provide them any support they need, or it could be that they're unsure of if they can manage the time. We're there to provide them with that. There's also further support. So we've got 24-hour library, we've got IT desks, they've got obviously the student home support with the module teams and obviously the functional skill teams. Just to kind of give you a bit of an overview of the program delivery. So we provide hard copy books and ebooks, so they have the digital copies online on their student home. They're all interactive activities, so everything they'll be learning, they'll be putting straight back into the workplace. All videos and animations are enriched media, so they're all current as well, and they're very engaging. We do provide face-to-face schools on tutorials. Currently at the minute, these are on hold. With alongside those, if they're unable to attend the face-to-face, there is online alternatives. These are normally held within the evenings, mid kind of week. If they're unable to attend the online tutorials, they can, these will be recorded and they can pick them up later on and always arrange a face-to-face with their tutors. You've obviously mentioned practice tube visits and obviously forum discussions and activities. Another thing we've got is that we always see people are always on the go working. They're not 9 to 5. So we have our OU Anywhere app as well. This is to give them full support. And that means they can access their study. If they're traveling on a train, they could do a bit of reading. They can do a few activities on their OU Anywhere app. And this is on all devices, phones and iPhone, Android, iPads, laptops. What was picked up on earlier by Caroline with the 20% off the job. We do try and make this as flexible as possible. So with the blended approach with the face-to-face and online delivery. A lot of people think with the Open University, you are on your own. This is not true. 100%, there is a full support network there for you from tutors, peers, and that past and present students. With a flexible delivery model, there isn't no day or block release with the Open University. It can be taken flexibly, and if it's managed correctly, sometimes a lot of this learning can be done within the 20%. So for instance, a lot of employers, some of our technical, so do the digital technologies, cover out an hour and a half at the end of each day. Others, when they have assignments, they then change that round and have a half a day, but they work with their employer. So this is, I find, really key with the 20%. Sit down with your line manager, work around the business. We know there could be weeks where you wouldn't be able to take your 20% and you can bank that, but it's then just taking it when you need it for your apprentice, for any assignments that's needed. Again, you've got the OU Anywhere app and the support there from start to finish with the OU, from the practice tutor, academic and apprenticeship program delivery managers and account managers. Just to kind of touch on something Caroline mentioned earlier around like the age limit on apprenticeships. Now, with myself, I'm actually a chartered manager apprentice, much more of a matured student, and the opportunity of apprenticeships being open at degree level had that option to go back and reskill myself, because I originally left school doing hairdressing, so I was actually reskilling and coming into a different career. Now I've just completed mine, about to go through endpoint assessment and got a 2-1 in my degree, so it is possible. Please look at your existing staff as well, because sometimes they may have been managers that have worked their way up, sometimes maybe even be afraid to even partake in any learning. What I did and what I recommend to a lot of employers, we have our Open Learn. I will update Julie with the link and pass this on. We have thousands of CPD courses on there for free. This can be from work skills, life skills. We even have maths and English level 1 and 2 on there that you can study for free. Again, electric badges for those, so electronic badges or certificates that can show that you've partaken in higher education. And this is a good stepping stone as if you're wanting to go on to look at considering an apprenticeship. And it's also good for even with Milton Keynes College as well. If you're looking, you've never partaken in any education, even at the lower level, have a look, give it a try, because it can also put you forward to starting at those lower levels as well. Any questions?
Fantastic, really, really interesting stuff, and clearly two excellent providers. So hopefully the people here have gotten a lot of information out of that. I mean, obviously it's open for questions now, so I don't know if anybody has any. I would like to kick off if I may, because obviously now with the whole pandemic situation and the working from home and all that sort of stuff, I'm aware that a number of our members that expressed an interest to me previously on the Kickstart program to get an apprentice in that way, expressed some real concerns about, you know, the working from home bits and how do you oversee them properly and all that sort of stuff. Is that something that either, you know, Caroline or Julie-Ann or maybe Mary have some information about, or how does that work? Because that it seems like that's quite a difficult situation, but is there ways to go around that?
Should I pick in for the college in terms of what we're doing? Student welfare and apprentice welfare, student welfare, and making sure that apprentices are safe and well and engaged is really important to us. And I mentioned about the workplace trainers we have, and Mary equally mentioned that the OU have those. Part of the scope of their role is to keep in touch with the apprentices, make sure they are working in a safe environment. So when they are in the office, again, it's a safe environment for them to be working in there, but equally working from home. Everybody's mental and emotional well-being is critically important to us. We have systems within the college where we can support equally, so will Mary within the OU. That wider piece is something that actually academic organisations are much better placed to deliver than private providers, if I'm being brutally honest with you. There are limitations to what we can do, but as much as we can, when we are doing delivery, when we're having that engagement piece, it is like we are here, camera on, and just interacting with one another. And if there are any concerns, then we will just go above and beyond. I know for myself, there's a course that I'm working very closely with the delivery team on, and we do have a concern about a particular apprentice. So it's finding the right way to connect with them. And if I'm honest, because I'm an account manager, that's definitely not me. They won't know who I am. But it might be one of our tutors who's taught them. It might be their workplace training. We will find somebody to connect with them. Does that answer the question? Mary and Julie-Ann, you may well have more that you wish to add.
Yeah, we're very much the same. We're supporting all apprentices currently at the moment. We know it's affecting everyone differently. The support we have, all the practice tutors are reaching out to the students currently as well, and so is the apprenticeship program delivery managers, to make sure their well-being is there, and linking in with the employers as well at the same time, so they're fully aware of what's going on.
Excellent. Maybe Tom and Peter, have you got maybe a view on that, because you're living it now, I presume, with your man.
Yeah, sorry, just unmute. Yeah, I think it's the same challenge as everyone's had, and we've sort of treated Harry in the same way the rest of the employees here. So we have a weekly team meeting, as we did when we were all present in the office. Every Monday we would sit and have a chat and run through projects that were going on, what was on the periphery, and it was a full team debrief. It wasn't just specifically on certain areas. So you know, it wasn't the projects that Harry was working on solely, or Jamie, who is my PR manager, and you know, obviously what Pete's up to as well. It was everyone talking, so you all got a good perspective on the business. So we still do that. Obviously on specific projects, Harry and I have a chat on WhatsApp, or occasionally a Zoom chat like this, just when it's better to have a face-to-face. So, but so I think we've treated him in the same way, not as we have the rest of the employees. You know, so it's obviously I've asked him how he's been getting on with the college work, and how that's been affecting his way of studying, and obviously because that's having to be done exactly the same way. So I'm aware of how you guys are staying in contact with him and managing his the education side of things. But yeah, in terms of how we're working together, yeah, same as everyone else, I think.
So as long as you're sort of considerate and have a bit of a think about it, there's no real reason why you couldn't engage in the process, even in these circumstances. I mean, it seems like, you know, it's perfectly able to make it work.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we've been doing this for a year now, haven't we, all of us? So I think we've managed to find ways to make it work for ourselves, and yeah, it's we found a way that works for us. You know, I make sure that everyone's doing what they should be doing, and you know, aside from that, I always make a point of phoning up my guys and just having a one-to-one chat and sort of saying, you know, how are you doing? It's obviously, there's the mental health issue as much as anything else. So you know, being cooped up at home sometimes can get the better of you. So yeah, usual employee relation things, but yeah, at the moment there's no reason why this would stop you bringing apprentices on board, I believe. So
excellent, thank you for that. Does anybody else have any queries while we have the experts in the room? There's one that I'm quite interested in asking, because there, you know, you might get situations where, you know, you have a clash of personalities, or somebody who doesn't quite fit the culture of the business, or any of that sort of stuff. So how does it work in terms of, if you will, sort of matchmaking, making sure that the right apprentice ends up with the right company and all that sort of stuff? How do you have systems in place for that? And presumably this is to Mary as well as Caroline or Julie-Ann. I mean, presumably you have something in place for that specifically to make sure that as much as you're able, you match up the right people with the right jobs. And in the rare occurrences, hopefully that it happens that you don't quite get that right, how do you deal with that, and what happens then? Maybe Mary, if you would like to start with that and then come over to Caroline.
So we help, as a degree level, we help employers recruit, putting it on with the government website. We can also assist them on the recruitment as well if they want our assistance there. We do provide IAG sessions up front, so that one, the student knows what they're taking on, and two, what the employer will expect of them to achieve and when, the 20%, so they know what they're embarking on. And sometimes at that point you will realise if they are 100% interested or that they're not. They realise it's a bit daunting. So we work closely with the employers to make sure they have that connection as well with the apprentices.
Excellent. Maybe Caroline or Julie-Ann?
And for us, it's the same, a really strong IAG piece to begin with. All of the apprentice candidates are interviewed, whether face-to-face or on over the telephone. We do a lot around their CVs and making sure they're credible and the right candidates, and it's the right journey for them. And then with our employers, there's the same piece, but in terms of if there is a case an apprentice does need to be let go, it's treated exactly as you would with an employee in the business. You follow those disciplinary procedures or those procedures that you have within your own business. What I would say is we have review dates are set out within an apprenticeship process, and so we have a review piece with one of our trainers into the company at 3 weeks, and it's at that point which we feel is key that if there are any queries or issues that need to be resolved, we're in there early with our trainers and resolving them there and then, so we can progress forward again onto a 6-week review period as well, and to keep on track on that early days. Excellent,
very good. I'm conscious of time, but were there any other questions from anybody that I'd like to put forward? As per usual, what we'll do is we'll provide information for Caroline and for Julie-Ann and for Mary as well to everybody that's on the call. So if you did want to follow up individually over email or telephone, you could do that obviously afterwards. We'll share the recording and the presentations as well with you all afterwards, so you'll get all that information. But if there's anything that anybody wants to add at the moment, or
IPM, I would like to ask a question if I can. Just a general question on the topic of confidentiality. We work in a highly regulated industry, and we are on the verge of commercializing a new manufacturing process. So there is the aspect of inwards confidentiality, but also in terms of the things that we deliver for our customers. How does this work in terms of the apprentice having to go back and talk to their team members and friends at the college? Because obviously that's a very positive thing to have, but we also have to be mindful of the aspect of secrecy.
Are you okay if I pick this one up, Mary? Obviously, we work with a wide variety of employers, and a number of whom will be in a very similar position to yourselves. If I'm being honest, when all the apprentices are in the same place at the same time, they will talk about who they are seeing, who they're going out with, the car they're driving, or something much more personal to them, and how much money they earn. They very rarely will talk about the particular projects they're working on. In terms of how we gather evidence for what they're doing on the apprenticeship, it is how they're doing it, not what they're doing. So we're really not interested in what they're working on, but it's what are the processes they're doing, how are they thinking about it, is their knowledge growing in the general terms. There are some employers where we as an organisation sign non-disclosure agreements with them. We have some employers where we are required to go through security clearance. We will absolutely work with you. And Mary and Julie-Ann will back this up. No part of an apprenticeship evidencing is interested in the nuts and bolts of what you're doing. It's very much about the apprentice's learning journey. From an engineering point of view, are they able to mill or turn if that's appropriate to that? Julie-Ann will have better examples on their digital. Are they able to code? Are they able? Not why are you coding it, but are you using a particular coding language? Are you using a particular piece of engineering kit? Can you design in CAD? I don't care what you're designing, it's can you use CAD? And we don't need to see. There is an organisation we work with, it's actually a motor manufacturer, and we are delivering a CAD apprenticeship to their apprentices. We don't want to know what it is they've designed, we want to know that they have been able to design it. Again, I'll pass across to Julie-Ann and Mary. You might.
Yeah, I very much agree with the exact same. In their evidencing, we do advise them to block out anything to do with the business logos or any names we cover off that. We just ask them what they're doing and what they've learned. So what skills they've achieved, really. That's all we get.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, and just to add, redacting of any commercially sensitive information that's to be used as evidence. We openly work with employers on that, and our trainers are really skilled in that.
Excellent, thank you. Again, conscious of time, is there anybody else who has any further questions, anything they would like to say before we wrap up?
Quick question, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
How much time, as a very rough percentage of mentoring, would I need to allocate to an apprentice, do you think? Is there a way of giving me a rough idea of that?
I'll go in on that. From the OU's perspective, we try and let them to cooperate on the mentoring side within one-to-one sessions. So from my perspective on mine, I had my mentoring session monthly, so once a month. Working around that, so it's down to you and the individual.
But during the course of a normal day, would you expect them to be able to work independently? I'm assuming not, for certainly the first few months. Is there any guidance you would give me to say how much time I would need to get the mentoring process would take out of my effective work effort, if you see what I mean?
From the degree level, ours would be different. They should be able to work independently. From MK College's and Caroline's and Julie-Ann's perspective, I could say that would be a bit different.
Can I just add a little bit here? I think there's two pieces to this. There's the training, on-the-job training, and then there's the mentoring. And the mentoring is something completely different. So mentoring is more ad hoc, scheduled appointments, but as and when required, generally, but certainly not something I'd see as a requirement daily. On the job training, something completely different.
Okay, I'm thinking probably more than on the job training as an effort, that because I'm going to get to, I'm thinking of an example engineering apprentice where I need to allocate some time away from my current engineers to be able to sort of give them that support on a day-to-day basis. And I'm just wondering, as a very simple metric, so I can start doing some budgetary figures, what effort level would be a sensible one to put into that sort of plan?
Yeah, that's really difficult to answer that one, because if you're, let's take an example. If you've got I don't know, a 17-year-old joining you who's got basic CAD skills, and you're wanting to take him up to an advanced level of AutoCAD in order that he can do engineering design, then he's going to need side-by-side support. Whereas if it's a one-off, you're teaching him how to use a mill, you know, you'll get him started, he'll make his own mistakes as he goes along, and he'll come and ask questions as he goes. It's really, without knowing more details, I think I might be talking out of turn here, but I would say we're going to struggle to make an estimate for how much time you're going to allocate. It's also really dependent on the individual, and that's where you're going to rely on MK College to find you the right person who's got the right skill set, and then make an assessment at that point.
Thank you, Peter. If I can just pick up, Peter's absolutely right. It's almost an intangible. However, from the college's point of view, we create learning route documents, learning plans, and within that we factor in this 20% additional learning or 20% learning time. And increasingly, we are putting in the sorts of things that would be covered by that. So I can't give you an idea now, but I'm more than happy to sort of have a conversation and just flesh out what that would look like perhaps for your particular apprenticeship route. It will be different for all of them. And as Peter said, sort of, we can give you a rule of thumb, but it will be very much about who you take on, what learning and understanding they bring with them, as to what the impact would be on your team and what you'd have to do. That's all I can offer you really. We factor that in, we're aware of it, we try and do the very best we can to support you.
Yeah, I'm expecting it to be fairly large, but the amount of time, I guess 50% would be reasonable for my first estimate.
I think more and then less. If you over expect and then we deliver less, or it becomes less, then that's always a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, that's great. It's nearly 12:15 now, so I think we should bring it to a close, because I'm sure that we all have other things that we need to get on with. But thank you very much. It's been a really good session. As I mentioned before as well, you will have the opportunity to follow up with Mary and Julie and Caroline, Julie-Ann, sorry, and Caroline afterwards as well. So please take that opportunity if you would like. Now, I'd like to share a quick poll with everybody, just to get your thoughts on what you thought of today's session, but also to give us some guidance on what other subjects you would like us to cover with webinars and things. So if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to fill that in. It should take you less than a minute, so hopefully not too much of an effort. In the meantime, I'd like to say thank you to everybody watching on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe, I think they all say. So please do so. I hope you enjoyed it. Please have a look at any of the other videos that we have available, and please also have a look at the events calendar for other events coming up. As I mentioned before, the Be the Business program. So if you're looking to advance your business from a business growth point of view, we offer free programs there through Be the Business. So please get in touch with us on that. And also don't forget that we are now a Kickstart gateway. So if you're looking for a fully funded apprenticeship, then please come and have a conversation with us as well. So details should be available on the website. And obviously get in touch, and we'll be very happy to discuss it with you. So thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.